This is Steve Ridgel, and I thought I'd share a little bit about why you don't want to live in the past. And so, in my last video, I talked about why it's really dangerous to live shackled to your past sins, to live in your past when you weren't as faithful to Jesus as you are now or as you wanted to be. You look back, and if Satan can't keep you doing things from your past, he'll keep you remembering them, thinking you're not forgiven. And that's not healthy for anybody. You don't want to let your past define your future. But there's another side to that too. Don't live in the past when things were, in your view, better. If you live very long, you live through a lot of times when, things change and things are different than they used to be. You look different. Sometimes the culture's different. Sometimes the things around you are different. And it's really easy sometimes to look back and say, oh, if it could just be like it was then. I hear people do that with family. Oh, it was so good when our family was close, and families aren't anymore, and I wish we could go back to the good days. I hear people do it about church. Oh, church was so great back then, and it's so different now, and I wish we could go back to the way it was then. And they do it with family, they do it with church, they do it with culture, they do it with their work. Now, let me tell you, one thing is it probably wasn't always as good as you thought it was. If you ever talk to people that are really honest about family, they'll say, oh, it was so good when, and I wish we'd go back to. But you know what? When you were raising your kids, it was just as tough as your kids are having it raising your grands. It was hard, and sometimes you couldn't make ends meet, and sometimes kids, because they were kids, acted up. You just kind of forget those. Your memory becomes a little bit selective. I hear it about church too. Oh, church was so great then. But every elder I've ever talked to who shepherded a church for any length of time, no matter when it was, remembers a lot of great things. But they also know sometimes it was hard. It wasn't always as great as we thought it was. Same thing with culture. Oh, things were so much better when everybody was. Listen, culture's always been against God. It may manifest itself differently, and you may think the things that are showing up in our culture that are evil, you may think that's worse than the evil things of culture 50 years ago or 30 years ago, but it's not. It may be different, but culture's never been supportive of God, never will be. Culture's always going to be against Jesus. It has been since Jesus was here and warned us about that kind of thing. And even you say, oh, it was so good when you forget all. Memory's a funny thing. You tend to remember the things you like and forget the things you didn't. And so if you're not careful, pretty soon everything looks rosy when it really wasn't. But here's the real danger of looking back and saying, oh, I wish I could go back to the good old days. If you're always looking back, you really can't live in the present. I know things are different. I know things change. I also know God's not through doing great work. Not in his people, not in you. And so quit saying, if it was only like we would do. Nah, don't think that way. Say, God, I know things are different, but I'm so open to what's going to happen now. I'm 73, and I'm in one of the greatest phases of ministry that I've been in. I've had about 4 great ministry seasons in my life. Maybe 5. I don't know. I'm kind of positive. Maybe all. But right now, I'm in one of those great times, and I think, boy, God, who would have thought you would have done this in this day? So you know what? Be thankful for the past. Be thankful for the good times, and look with excitement about what God's going to do with you today. Even the good past, don't be shackled to it.